In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NFL games happening on November 24, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Minnesota Vikings versus Chicago Bears. The Minnesota Vikings have emerged as one of the NFL's standout teams this season, boasting an impressive 8-2 record through their first 10 games of the 2024-2025 campaign. With a balanced and effective performance on both offense and defense, along with unexpected contributions at the quarterback position, the Vikings appear to be not just playoff-bound but poised for a deep postseason run. Their strong showing has instilled a sense of confidence that this team can contend with the league's elite. This Sunday, the Vikings will face a critical National Football Conference North Divisional showdown against the Chicago Bears, who enter the game with a disappointing 4-6 record. After starting the season on a solid note, the Bears have faltered significantly, dropping 4 consecutive games. For Chicago, this matchup represents a pivotal opportunity to keep their faint playoff hopes alive. Anything less than a win would likely extinguish their postseason ambitions, making this game a must-win scenario. Last season, the Vikings and Bears split their 2-game series 1-1, highlighting just how fiercely competitive this National Football Conference North rivalry has become. In their last 10 head-to-head meetings, Minnesota holds a narrow 6-4 edge, with last year's matchups decided by razor-thin margins of 6 and 2 points, respectively. However, the Vikings have dominated recent encounters in Chicago, winning all 4 of their last trips to Soldier Field by a combined margin of 36 points. Given their superior performance on both offense and defense, coupled with Chicago's ongoing struggles, Minnesota appears to have the edge, though fans should anticipate a closely contested battle. The Bears' offensive woes are particularly alarming ahead of this matchup. Chicago has allowed the second most sacks in the league this season, and their ground game has been subpar. Meanwhile, the Vikings boast one of the NFL's most formidable run defenses and rank 3rd in total sacks. This disparity in the trenches heavily favors Minnesota, suggesting a long day ahead for Chicago's offense. The Vikings' defensive front could wreak havoc, effectively neutralizing any attempt by the Bears to gain momentum. On offense, Minnesota has proven they can capitalize on weak defenses, provided they avoid turnovers. The Bears, struggling both against the pass and the run, will have their hands full containing the Vikings' versatile attack. While betting on a road favorite in a divisional matchup can seem risky, Minnesota's consistency and Chicago's recent return to their old, error-prone habits make the Vikings a more trustworthy pick. Despite a recent loss to the Lions, the Vikings are playing at a high level, and Chicago's quarterback play doesn't inspire much confidence in their ability to pull off an upset. Ultimately, the Minnesota Vikings to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. For bettors eyeing the total, recent trends suggest this could be a low-scoring affair. The under has hit in each of the Vikings' last 3 games and in 4 consecutive games for the Bears. Both teams feature top 10 scoring defenses and have been involved in tight, low-scoring battles recently. In fact, the last 3 head-to-head matchups between these teams have also gone under the total, and similar circumstances point to another defensive struggle in this meeting. Minnesota's stout pass rush and run defense are likely to stymie Chicago's offense, preventing them from consistently moving the ball past the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, Chicago's strong third-down defense and ability to force turnovers should help limit Minnesota's scoring opportunities. Neither team allows opponents to reach 20 points often, setting the stage for a grinded-out style of game. Last season's meeting saw point totals of just 22 and 32. And with neither team significantly upgraded at quarterback, expect another similarly low-scoring game. The Vikings have seen the under hit in 7 of their last 10 games overall, allowing an average of just 17 points in 5 road games this season. Likewise, the Bears' games have also trended under, with the total falling short in 7 of their last 10 matchups. Over their last 4 contests, the Bears have managed to score a mere 36 points combined. With both defenses playing at a high level and offenses struggling to put up big numbers, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Lions versus Indianapolis Colts. It's an intriguing interconference clash on the gridiron as one team, perched at the summit of its conference, faces off against another still clawing its way toward playoff contention in the Hoosier State. The Detroit Lions hit the road for a Sunday afternoon showdown against the Indianapolis Colts. In their last outing, Detroit obliterated the Jacksonville Jaguars, cruising to a commanding 52-6 victory at home while easily covering the spread as 14-point favorites. Meanwhile, Indianapolis edged out the New York Jets on the road, sneaking away with a narrow 28-27 victory as underdogs by 4 points. Historically, the Colts have a slight edge in the regular season series, holding a 22-19-2 advantage, including a decisive 41-21 road win in their most recent matchup on November 1, 2020. The Detroit Lions are looking to cement their new status as frontrunners in the race for the Super Bowl when they visit the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday. Remarkably, the Lions find themselves as Super Bowl favorites for the first time this season, and indeed, for the first time in franchise history. Their dominant 52-6 thrashing of the Jacksonville Jaguars, paired with the Kansas City Chiefs' surprising loss, catapulted Detroit into this unprecedented position. The Lions' offensive juggernaut is tough to ignore. Quarterback Jared Goff rebounded spectacularly from his turnover-laden performance in Week 10, delivering a near-flawless outing against Jacksonville. He threw for 412 yards and 4 touchdowns on an efficient 2.5 of 2.9 passing. Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs all found the end zone in the same game for the 8th time in their careers, a feat that sets an NFL record for 3 teammates. Detroit's offensive firepower will be difficult for Indianapolis to counter. Last week, Indianapolis was a good play at plus 3.5-point underdogs against the Jets, and they managed to eke out a win. However, this week the Colts face an entirely different level of challenge in the Lions, a team that represents the polar opposite of the Jets. The Colts barely held onto their narrow victory over New York, squandering a 13-0 lead before rallying late. This inconsistency is troubling, as is Jonathan Taylor's disappointing 2.4 yards per carry in that game. Even more concerning is the Colts' porous secondary, which ranks 26th in pass defense and 25th in opponents' yards per pass attempt. Facing an elite passing offense led by Goff, St. Brown, and their supporting cast will likely expose Indianapolis' vulnerabilities. The Lions have the edge here, as they've shown remarkable consistency on the road this season. With a 5-0 straight-up record and a 4-1 mark against the spread in away games, Detroit is not only the hotter team but also the more stable one. Indianapolis, meanwhile, struggles with uncertainty at the quarterback position and has failed to string together consecutive victories since alternating between Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. Detroit's red-hot offense should have no trouble dismantling a shaky Colts defense, making the Detroit Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites our full-game side pick. The two teams this season have combined to average an impressive 55 points per game, suggesting that Sunday's contest could be a high-scoring affair. While Indianapolis isn't an offensive powerhouse, their performance last week against the Jets, their best in 6 weeks, hints at some potential for improvement. Quarterback Anthony Richardson may have been reinvigorated by that showing, and the Colts should be able to move the ball well enough to contribute to the scoreboard. On the other side, Detroit's offense has been firing on all cylinders, seemingly growing more potent each week. The Lions' 52-point explosion against Jacksonville, coupled with over 600 total yards of offense, was an extraordinary feat, regardless of the Jaguars' defensive struggles. Against Indianapolis, whose defense offers little resistance, Detroit should continue their torrid scoring pace. The over has been a profitable play for Detroit this season, hitting a 5-4-1 mark in their 10 games, with 3 of their 5 road contests featuring at least 49 combined points. For Indianapolis, the over has hit in 3 of their 5 home games, contributing to a 6-5 record against the total this season. The Lions are poised to rack up points once again, likely posting at least 31, while the Colts add late-game scoring in garbage time to push this contest over the projected total. With Detroit's offensive prowess and Indianapolis' inability to slow them down, over the projected total is our full-game total pick. Tennessee Titans versus Houston Texans. On Sunday afternoon, the Tennessee Titans will travel to NRG Stadium in Houston for a road matchup against the Houston Texans. The Titans, currently sitting at a disappointing 2-8 record, are coming off a home loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Meanwhile, the Texans, at a solid 7-4, delivered a commanding performance in Week 11, dominating the Dallas Cowboys in a one-sided affair. The Texans made a bold statement with their Week 11 victory. The Monday Night Football matchup showcased an tense in state rivalry between Houston and Dallas, though the game quickly became lopsided. Joe Mixon was the star of the night, rushing for over 100 yards and scoring 3 touchdowns, making it clear that the Cowboys' defense had no answers for him. With Mixon taking center stage, wide receivers Nico Collins and Tank Dell had relatively quiet evenings, as the game was essentially out of reach by halftime. However, Houston's dynamic duo of receivers will face a tougher challenge in Week 12 when they go up against the Titans' secondary, which has allowed the fewest passing yards per game in the league this season. That said, the Titans' defensive vulnerability was exposed by Sam Darnold last week, who managed to carve them up by spreading the ball to 9 different receivers while avoiding turnovers. This strategy played a significant role in the Vikings' 10-point victory over Tennessee. It's likely that Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud will adopt a similar game plan, leveraging his deep pool of talented receivers rather than relying solely on Collins. Tennessee's offense has been a persistent issue throughout the season. Over their last 6 games, the Titans have managed to score just 13, 17, 20, 14, 10, and 17 points, with their lone 20-point effort requiring overtime to reach that mark. This clear downward trend doesn't bode well for their chances on Sunday, especially against a Houston defense that ranks 6th in the league for fewest passing yards allowed per game. In their Week 11 matchup, the Texans held the Cowboys to just 10 points, and it wouldn't be surprising if the Titans struggled to score more than that. The outlook for Tennessee's offense under quarterback Will Levis remains grim, and Houston's defense seems poised to capitalize. While the under might appear to be a logical betting choice given Tennessee's offensive struggles, it's hard to envision the Titans staying competitive in this game. Despite their defense's respectable statistics, they lack the overall firepower to contend with a Texans team that has rediscovered its ground game in recent weeks. Houston appears to have the edge in nearly every aspect, and it's reasonable to expect them to win this game comfortably. For this matchup, the Houston Texans to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When healthy, the Texans' offense ranks among the league's most formidable, and they're finally nearing full strength now that Nico Collins has returned to action. Houston's top wide receiver had been sidelined for several weeks with a hamstring injury but made his comeback last week. Although his numbers didn't jump off the stat sheet, it's worth noting that a 77-yard touchdown he scored was nullified by a penalty, and he saw limited action in the second half due to the blowout nature of the game. Collins remains an elite playmaker, and his chemistry with Tank Dell, who complements him perfectly as a secondary target, makes Houston's passing attack even more dangerous. Adding to their offensive versatility, Joe Mixon has been a consistent force on the ground, rushing for over 100 yards in 6 of his 8 games this season. Expect Mixon to play a prominent role against Tennessee's subpar run defense. While the Texans hold the upper hand overall, it's worth acknowledging that their secondary allowed Cooper Rush to throw for an eye-popping 354 yards last week, a vulnerability that could create opportunities for Will Levis and the Titans. Levis, who passed for 295 yards in Tennessee's loss to Minnesota, might find some success through the air against Houston's defense. Even so, the Titans' offensive ceiling remains low, as they're unlikely to score more than 20 points. Still, they only need to put up 10 to 17 points for this game to surpass the total set by odds makers. With that in mind, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.